Hello, thank you for tuning in to the Katy Sissine Show, addressing the indoctrination of the American nation. My name is Katy Sissine, your host. And the last episode, we continue to talk about, and we had someone on the show to interview to express his view on the new immigration order by Trump. Now we're going to get into the Berkeley protests today. So the immigration order will no longer be a topic of conversation, and that's okay because we've gotten all the points across that we can get across. No point in beating a dead horse on this one. I think we all get it by now, and I hope by now we all support it. But of course, you can't make everybody happy, but at least we can make everyone more nationally secure, and I think that's what we will accomplish, and I very much hope so with this new immigration order. Anyway, so we showed some graphs at the end of yesterday's episode where we explained that, from The Economist, which explained that deaths and attacks from terrorism have spiked worldwide. And the spike began in about 2011. And we showed a graph prior to that that showed that refugee admittance of Muslim refugees has increased significantly since the beginning of the Obama administration in 2009, and even increased significantly in 2008 from 2007 before Obama was into office. Wow, that's a mouthful. So moving on, I would like to explain from the graphs we saw from The Economist that the graph showed that most of the deaths last year from terrorism were located in the Middle East and Africa, which I noted, and they were not located in the West. However, it is important to acknowledge that the rates of terrorism upon the West are spiking along with the spike of the rates of terrorism across the globe. Now, this is problematic, obviously, because we see that it's getting closer to home. It's spiking, global terrorism is spiking, and it's spiking in the West just as much. So although we're not the main target because we don't have as many Muslims located here in ratio to our population, obviously, and as many terrorists here, due to that fact, because it's all due to this big Muslim religious war right now, and you know how they're so against the West, then you know we don't have as many attacks here. But if we let more Muslim refugees over without having proper vetting procedures, then we put ourselves at severe risk for bringing this quote-unquote religious war and hostility against the West on our own soil. And just imagine how bad that could be, especially with the animosity that many terrorists have against the West and all westernized societies. As we've seen, the several attacks upon France is devastating, and now Quebec, I mean, it's just atrocious. So the attacks have been growing exponentially worldwide. We have the means to protect ourselves, and that's what Trump is working toward. America has a right to protect itself, and I support that, and Trump supports that. So let's just wish him the best, people. Now, I have got a caller on the line, and we are going to talk about the Berkeley protests at UC Berkeley, University of California, Berkeley, ironically the home of the 64-65 free speech movement. And they had a protest against a speaker. How crazy is that? Now, Chelsea, do I have you on the line?
Yeah. Hey, Katy.
Hi, Chelsea. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
Doing great. Just had some great talks early today. I had a debate earlier about someone who was against the pause in immigration and the new vetting.
Oh, wow. That was interesting.
Right. So he was very much against it. So I'm also probably going to take a call from him in the next segment and get his opinion on the Berkeley protests. Now, I don't know what you've heard about the Berkeley protests, but from what I know, right-wing commentator Milo Yiannopoulos, he was to have a speech about cultural appropriation, and it was canceled due to the outrageous protests on the Berkeley campus, as we all know. Now,
right.
What is cultural appropriation? You know, what was he going to speak about that was obviously so offensive to these people? Well, it's adopting characteristics of another culture that is not one's own, and his speech was titled "Cultural Appropriation is Wonderful." And cultural appropriation includes dress, hairstyle, musical taste, religion, traditions. So, for example, wearing Native American costumes, wearing cornrows. If that's not part of your, if that's not part of your cultural background, that can be seen as highly offensive to people. at least the mainstream left notoriously labels cultural appropriation as offensive. So what do you think about the protests at Berkeley? I mean, obviously peaceful protesting, that's one thing, but this is a school known for free speech. So
exactly.
What are your thoughts?
That was my thing. Like, Berkeley is known for its free speech and how it is so welcoming of the many cultures and everything like that. And then when they have a protest like this, it wasn't a protest to me. It started as a protest, but it turned into a riot. And a protest, that's free speech. But turning it into a riot where people are, in danger, or I don't know if you saw the video of the girl getting pepper sprayed in the eyes during an interview.
Yes, I did. And I also heard there was another Trump supporter, I don't know if it was a male or female, who was also attacked during an interview.
Yeah. And I mean, that's just not right, and you kind of have to look back and step back and say, okay, well, this isn't a Trump or Hillary or even the speakers. This isn't a thing like that. This is more so looking at it like you are endangering lives for no reason. It's okay to protest and say what you want because that's freedom of speech. That's one of the blessings of America. But to turn it into something where people are going to get hurt or you're going to burn down cars or break windows, that's breaking the law. I mean, that's plain and simple, I
completely agree. And I think it was reported that there was only one arrest.
Are you serious?
Yes.
Yeah, I did not know that. Wow.
Yes, I heard my most reputable source told me that there was only one arrest, and the university actually defended the protesters. They said that it wasn't, they said that what had happened was, they had a justification for it now. It's a compelling argument. It really is. The university blamed the chaos on a group called the Black Bloc. And the Black Bloc is a group associated with anarchy, and even the anonymous group, who's the most associated, most popular group of anarchy, condemns the Black Bloc. Because that's how troublesome they are. The Black Bloc covered themselves reportedly they caused all the chaos, and they covered themselves in black to conceal their identities during the performances, if you will, the destruction of the campus. By running, shouting, breaking into banks and blah, blah, blah. But also, some people are saying that the protesters want to blame the Black Bloc. They want to use the Black Bloc as a scapegoat so that everyone can be violent and they can just put it all on another group so no one gets in trouble. And meanwhile, the state is in support of this because the state hates the feds just as much as the students do, or at least the Trump administration.
Right. Well, and, you can't do that because here's the thing. Those protests, it wasn't just one set group of people. I mean, there were a lot of people there that could have stepped back and said, okay, this is getting out of hand. I need to walk away.
Exactly.
But instead, everybody kept, feeding into it, adding fuel to the fire. If it gets to that point, I mean, if you're protesting and you see that it's getting to that point, step back. Be the person that's like, okay, I stand for Berkeley. We're going to step back. This is not us.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. This is not humanity.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing. And you can't blame it on a specific group. You can't do that. Yes, it's probably true, and that was wrong of that group. But the protesters who really wanted to make a difference and have their voice heard should have stepped back.
Right. And they should have been fighting against those people. See, if that's really the case, if it's all the Black Bloc and the left is opposed, and well, I should say the left, but the people who are protesting the speaker were against violence, then why didn't they try to fight these people who are being violent? Why didn't they try to stop them? Which makes me more inclined to believe what I was telling you earlier about how, the protesters just want to use Black Bloc as a scapegoat.
Yeah. Because, and it's exactly what you're saying. They're using it as a way, like you're protesting someone who's saying against violence, and yet you're fighting violence with violence. Like that's essentially what they were doing, and you can't do that. That's not how you make a difference.
Right.
That's not how you get to people.
And there's some kind of saying, I don't know what it is, where it's like if you see something happen that is wrong, then you are partially guilty. If you see something that is wrong and you have some kind of power to stop it, then you're guilty in a way.
Yeah.
obviously...
Ignorance is not innocence.
Right. Ignorance is not innocence. That's a good way to put it. I like that.
Yeah, and I mean, it's just you can't be that way. I mean, you have to think about it. If you and I were in that position, and I see someone getting pepper sprayed in the face, it doesn't matter. You know, if they're doing an interview and being innocent, and they get pepper sprayed in the face, it doesn't matter what religion you are, who you stand for. That's wrong. You know, and that's not the way to treat your fellow human being. Like, we have to stand together no matter the situation.
And we have to consider, you know, there were, of course, conservatives there that are really looking forward to seeing Milo speak. A lot of people a lot of people call him just Milo because the last name is pretty complicated to say. But, you know, there were conservatives there too, and I'm sure the conservatives were trying to urge the police to do something. I'm guessing that much. And maybe the left protesters did too. Maybe some of the other protesters did too. But, you know, at the least, they should have just left, because if I'm witnessing a violent situation that I cannot stop, I'm just gonna leave. But they didn't, and that's obvious because of the fire that was burning. When they started the fire and the light pole was knocked down, they had burned an American flag, and people started cheering. And these weren't black people. They saw, Did you know about that?
No, I didn't know they, like, I don't, oh my God.
So look up the fire. Look up the fire. The fire is what made it impossible, for Milo to go up there and speak. And there was another speaker there that was basically terrified for his life, as was Milo. But they made sure, you know, Milo didn't have to get into any danger and wasn't exposed to it because he had the warning, but the other guy didn't. Anyway, check out that fire, because they burned a flag and they cheered, and it was everybody who was there. But we're out of time right now, Chelsea, so I really want to thank you for being on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I really enjoyed it.
Absolutely. Well, I'll talk to you soon.
Okay, you're the best. Everybody watch Katy.
Thank you, Chelsea. You're the best too. All right, bye.
All right, bye.
All right. Well, I want to thank y'all for tuning in to the first half of the show. When we come back, we will talk to, hopefully, another person who does not agree with my views on this subject, and that should be an interesting debate. As always, thank you for tuning in. We'll be right back, and you can follow me at katy@fyntv.com. Katy@fyntv. And you can email me at katy@fetchernews.com.
It's a new year. New you at Schottenkirk Ford Jasper. Ring in the new year with huge deals on a brand new Ford. Right now, get exceptional offers like 0% financing plus a $1,500 factory rebate on a new 2017 Ford F-150 XLT. Or get 0% financing plus a $1,000 factory rebate on a new 2017 Ford Explorer. Make your resolution a reality during the New Year, New You sales event at Schottenkirk Ford Jasper, home of the Schottenkirk Customer Guarantee. Visit us online at SchottenkirkFordJasper.com.
North Georgia Diamond is your source for diamonds. Come on in to view the area's largest selection of fine jewelry at North Georgia Diamond. All repairs and designs are done on site by our jewelers. And North Georgia Diamond has the lowest prices on loose diamonds. You can also sell your gold, silver, and coins at North Georgia Diamond between Walmart and Lowe's in East Ellijay. Locally owned by Bill and Allison Craig, North Georgia Diamond is your source for diamonds in North Georgia.
El Rey in Ellijay.
El Rey Mexican Restaurant.
Family owned and operated, and a local favorite for families, parties, and meetings.
Great prices.
Friendly service and delicious Mexican cuisine.
Patio dining available.
Come sing in Carlos's Cantina every Friday 9 to 1.
Eat in or take away.
Same location for 14 years. Open 7 days at the corner of Maddox Drive and 515. North Georgia's favorite Mexican cuisine. El Rey and Elegy.
Hello, my name is Chad Watkins. I'm the manager at Larry's Body Shop. We are a family-owned and operated business and have been serving the North Georgia area since 1978. We are located at 1216 Progress Road in Ellijay, Georgia. Our shop specializes in collision repair and we work with all major insurance companies. Larry's Body Shop is ICAR Gold, the highest role of training recognized by the collision repair industry. It is estimated that only 10% of collision shops meet these standards. Our shop consists of state-of-the-art equipment such as laser measurement system, down-drive spray booth, spot and MIG welding equipment. All of our paints are mixed on site so that we can guarantee your paint to match every time. I know that having an accident can be a stressful event. We take pride in making sure our customers are satisfied with the repair of their vehicles. Our waiting area is clean and comfortable with free Wi-Fi and refreshing beverages. So if you're in an accident, stop by and see us at Larry's Body Shop.
What you gonna do with all that junk?
Hello, thank you for staying with the Katy Sissine Show and staying checked in, addressing the indoctrination of the American nation. I'm Katy Sissine. We just got off the line before the commercial break with a KSU student, Chelsea, and she was very much against the protests as far as from what she knew. I actually informed her that there was a fire and a flag burning that had gone on there that was very sad in my opinion, and there were people cheering and taking pictures of the fire, seemingly amused by it, and it's just actually very sad. It is not good when people are trying to degrade our nation, are disrespecting our flag that represents our nation. People out there are believing that nationality is a figment of the imagination. Well, if you want to believe that nationality is a figment of the imagination, then so is every other feeling of attachment, like hate, love, and anything else. So they're basically denying meaning to all feelings of belonging, to all senses of belonging. So it doesn't make any sense. The argument that nationality is a figment of my imagination, it is absolutely credulous. It lacks any kind of credibility whatsoever, because if you break it down to what they're saying, then they are taking away the value of all kinds of feelings of attachment and belonging. And that's obviously ludicrous. So if you're catching my drift, I don't know. It may seem out there to some of y'all because maybe you're new to tuning into my stuff or new to my personality. I get that. Anyway, with my caller, I discussed how, deaths in globally from terrorism have been increasing. And we went over some graphs from The Economist that showed the number of plots by jihadists has leaped, in particular since 2014. But even before that, we saw an exponential rise in about 2011. Jihadist groups are known to be, just to inform people who don't know, jihadist groups are known to be Islamic groups opposed to the West. Now, everything Western stems from the great United States. They're against, however, all Westernization. So it's not just the area of the West, it's the whole concept of Westernization of the world that has obviously proliferated since globalization and the boom of technology. And in case readers didn't already assume that these plots leapt particularly in the Western world, they stated the plots were in fact against the West. Or in case readers didn't already assume that these plots lay particularly in the Western world, okay, well, these plots were in fact against the West, even if they weren't in the United States. I don't know, sorry if I made a moot point there, I misread my notes. Anyway, let's get back into the Berkeley protests. So we know it's the home of the free speech movement of 64 and 65, and there's supposed to be a right-wing commentator there, Milo Yiannopoulos. He was supposed to have a speech on cultural appropriation. I went over in the last episode what cultural appropriation is all about, or the last segment. If you didn't catch that, just do a quick rewind and you'll catch up with us here. So who is Milo? I've got a picture of Milo to show up here on the screen. That's Milo. That is Mr. Milo Yiannopoulos. And most people just call him Milo. He is a libertarian editor for Breitbart News. We know Breitbart was the author of Righteous Indignation, and he left his legacy with Breitbart News, and people carry on his legacy, including the editors of the website. And he is British. Milo's British. He appreciates the U.S. First Amendment that they do not have in the UK, or so he says, which is the freedom of expression. He is also a homosexual. He is openly opposed to the aspects of feminism, particularly the third wave of feminism. He is openly against mass Muslim immigration due to its perceivably abusive norms as in violence against homosexuals, oppression of women, violence against women, etc. Milo says that we do not want to bring these abusive cultural norms to the West. He does have a point. He has a great point, in fact. He says America is uniquely founded by a group of oppressed people, so we don't want to import oppressive people. Well, that's the logic that he's saying. Basically, none of those are quotes. That is more like a summary of what he believes in. Milo speaks on college campuses regularly, also speaking out against contentious issues like the protest, or, like cultural appropriation, like various protests, like basically righteous indignation, which is the feeling that the Republicans are oppressed and devalued and belittled by the left, and they feel like they have been wronged, and that they have been degraded, and that their values have been stomped on by the media, and many of which who dictate that have no knowledge of politics. Anyway, we can take that picture off. So let's take a look of Milo and what he had to say about the protest at UC Berkeley.
Is Milo Yiannopoulos, and I'm the gay technology editor of Breitbart News. I was due this evening to speak at UC Berkeley about cultural appropriation, a phenomenon on the progressive social justice left where they sort of like to tell you what kind of costumes it's allowed to wear, whether it's racist to wear a kimono, for instance, if you're not Japanese. It's not a subject you would imagine would prompt the kind of violent riots that you're now seeing on every major broadcast network in the United States, and it's not something I expected to happen tonight. But it turns out that the progressive left, the social justice left, the feminist Black Lives Matter, Antifa left, the hard left, which has become so utterly antithetical to free speech, in the last few years is taken a turn post-Trump's election where they simply will not allow any speaker on campus, even somebody as silly and harmless and gay as me, to have their voice heard. They won't allow students to listen to differing points of view. They're absolutely petrified by alternative visions of how the world ought to look, and people with arguments and fact and reason that don't conform to the crazy social justice left vision of the universe. So I was evacuated by my security detail and by the police tonight from UC Berkeley. UC Berkeley, of course, being the home of the free speech movement. It's both ironic and sad that this campus appears to be no friend to free speech anymore. I don't want to get into wild conspiracy theorizing or pointing fingers, but it's been noted by a number of people, including Tucker Carlson at Fox News, that the police presence did not seem to be particularly aggressive this evening. And that's something that I witnessed and that my security detail witnessed too. There was a sort of sit back, let it happen approach. I was evacuated really at the first sign of trouble. Trouble did get a lot worse after I did leave, so I think I'd have had to leave anyway. So this event may never have got off the ground. It seems as though the university and police didn't really want it to happen. But the fact that on an American college campus, a place of higher education, a place of learning in America, which I've come to as a visitor from the United Kingdom, where we don't have a First Amendment, hoping that this would be somewhere where you could be, do, and say anything, where you could express your views, express your opinions, crack some jokes, make people think, make people laugh, free from violent responses to political ideas. I thought America was the one place that would be possible. I am, of course, not the racist or the sexist or anything else that the posters...
So in that video, Milo made it clear that the police were not doing enough or anything really to diffuse the chaos that caused over $100,000 of damage on campus to a mostly federally funded school. What a disrespect to the new presidential administration. That protest is, and it will remain in infamy. He said, police, they were not aggressive. I have quotes from the video. Maybe you didn't remember, or maybe you did jot some down. Police were not aggressive at the protest. Milo also said, it seems as though the university police didn't want the speech to happen. So, which explains why they were not aggressive, which explains why they were not keen on trying to diffuse the chaos, even though what those students were doing was illegal. And they should have been punished, but apparently in California, if you agree with their state government, then you're protected from the law, or somehow you're above the law, which doesn't really make any sense because their state and the federal government overrules them. But anyway, I guess the Trump administration will have to take care of that because he has stated what he plans to do about the situation. He does plan to take action. He's threatened their federal funding, which we've all heard on the news by now. So Milo also addresses the irony of a protest, which I talked about with Chelsea, the irony of a protest against a speaker at a university, at an American university, where the First Amendment's freedom of expression, and at an American university that is known for free speech, the home of the 64-65 free speech movement, would protest violently against a speaker. And there were supporters there for him as well. In fact, 2 of them were pepper sprayed or attacked. I know one of them was definitely pepper sprayed during interviews, trying to explain that they were there to support Milo. And they even expressed that, they knew that the protesters were going to be violent like this and that, there's nothing they could do about that, but they just wanted to be there to show their support nonetheless for Milo, and obviously they had to leave. So universities, Milo says universities are complicit to this stuff. Like I said, what is up with this? Does the state government think it's above the federal government all of a sudden in California? I mean, we hear talks about them all the time, how they want to be their own country. Well, obviously that's not a real solution, because what kind of defenses will they have? I mean, they'll just have to create fake defenses in Hollywood and portray to the world that they have defenses, which they don't. I guess that's their biggest move, is using a Hollywood basement, so to speak. Anyway, who knows? Maybe California has some tricks up their sleeve that none of us know about. So anyway, this is an example of higher education undermining democracy. And bear in mind, this is not only that, it's a republic, which means we reserve our inalienable rights. And one of those inalienable rights is freedom of expression, which the protesters at the Berkeley College spat on. No respect whatsoever they had for our First Amendment. So ridiculous, you guys. And Alan Bloom is the one who quoted that higher education has been undermining democracy. It's from his book, The Closing of the American Mind. If I have time in tomorrow's episode, I'll go over it. Anyway, we're out of time for now. Please follow me on Twitter at Katy at FYNTV. And please email me with questions, comments, and suggestions at katy@fetronews.com. And go to fetronews.com to purchase lovely coffee mugs and merchandise. Thank you so much for tuning in.